Hello everybody, I am Alpha Bird. We're going to get straight into this video. I don't want to take up loads of your time. So here is the tier list. You can just see it on screen straight away. It's going to be minimal editing and just a short video really. That's the plan. So who comes out top of the tier list? Well, you can see straight away it is the 6th Airborne. The first Free French Forest Fighting Infantry, the brand new French division, and the 3rd Fallschirmjäger. They all come out at S tier. Following up behind, 2nd New Zealand, 17th SS, the brand new Verteidigungsbereich Toulon. We've got Fallschirmpanzer Hermann Göring, 3rd Canadians, 3rd US Armoured, 12th SS, 7th Mech, 1st Polish, 20th Panzer, 2nd Infantry Indian Head, 5th SS Norland, 11th SS Norland, I think that is, 44th Guards Rifles, 15th Infantry, 5th Cav, and finally the 1st Fallschirmjäger. So that is S and A tier. I'll talk a bit about how the tier list is put together. So I basically poll the top players in Steel Division League, all the Division 1 players, and a couple from Division 2 that, you know, are top players and they've played at Division 1 level. So the players that help me out with this one, here Robert, Sean, US Prester John, Frudlord, Jack, Vesterly, Nilla, Gonzo, Quadriu, and Skoda were the players that gave me a tier list, and we amalgamated them all together. So we got 10 tier lists. I put them all together and took an average of their placings. Now, what I also did was kind of remove one of the maximum results and one of the minimum results. So, for example, it didn't actually happen, but if 358th Rifles were all in E tier and then one person put them in S tier, I kind of removed that S tier result so that it wouldn't skew the tier list. If one person and only one person kind of favoured a division over all of the others, it wouldn't kind of skew the results. So I did that. And you kind of get an average. The tier list runs from top to bottom, left to right. So we've got obviously S tier at the top, then A tier. For example, the 2nd New Zealand were the highest A tier division, then the 17th SS, then Toulon, all the way through that first line. And then 2nd Infantry Indian Head came after the 20th Panzer, and so on. So it reads from left to right, then top to bottom within each row. Hopefully that makes sense to you. What else can we say about the tier list, really? We do have a mix of Allies and Axis divisions up there. I wouldn't say there's one dominant faction right now. I think what I would say is it's more likely infantry divisions to be towards the top and armoured divisions towards the bottom. I mean, if you look at 6th Airborne, the 1st French, 3rd Fallschirmjäger, 2nd New Zealand, 17th SS, Toulon. I mean, Hermann Göring aren't quite really an out-and-out tank division. Then you've got 3rd Canadians. Really, it's until you get to kind of 3rd US that you could consider that a tank division. 2nd New Zealand somewhat, but really it's more, you know, more likely to infantry divisions at the top of this tier list than tank divisions. Whereas the tank divisions, there's a lot of the German tank divisions sort of B tier, C tier. That's kind of where the German tank divisions sit in. If we look at the brand new divisions just released, we've got the 1st French, Toulon, 2nd New Zealand, all at the top of the tier list. So can you talk about some kind of power creep? I think there's a legitimate argument at the moment, you know, to suggest that. You've also got things like Großdeutschland sitting, you know, not overly, but decently above 5th Panzer. You've got 11th SS Norland fitting up above all the other tank divisions. They are recent new fixtures to Steel Division 2. So I think there is an argument to suggest there is some power creep coming in with the new divisions that AUG are releasing. So perhaps some criticism could be levelled there. Finally, a couple of other divisions to point out. The original tier list, the top two divisions were 3rd Guards Tank Corps and 78th Sturm. They both now sit in B tier. And fully enough, the bottom two divisions in that tier list were 28th Jaeger and 2nd Guards Tank Corps. 28th Jaeger and 2nd Guards Tank Corps are both above 78th Sturm now. And they're not too far off that 3rd Guards Tank Corps position. So kind of interesting that very first when the game released, those divisions have all amalgamated into B tier and everything else has gone around it. Other interesting divisions to point out, the division with the highest number of moves up the table was 3rd Fallschirmjäger, moving up 23 positions. And then behind that, the only other division that moved up 20 or more positions was the 2nd Guards Tank Corps. In terms of the worst kind of moving divisions, both 4th Monte and 184th Rifles dropped 35 places. Reimer-Rapana dropped 31 places, and 9th Guards Cavalry also dropped 31 places. The Finnish taking a big hit at the moment. They're sitting really down low. Pansari Divisional and Reimer-Rapana. Armia Krahawa very down low as well. So some of the earlier kind of DLCs have really dropped down in the meta. I would also say as well, this is obviously top tier 1v1 kind of meta tier list. So the way these guys play the game is very focused on picking up as much efficiency as possible with the way that they play. It's kind of hard to describe, but in terms of game mechanics, if they can exploit game mechanics to get an advantage at this level of play, these players are going to do it. So you tend to see a tier list that heavily favors kind of the most efficient play style as possible to gain the results that they need to gain at this kind of high level play. You know, you drop down a couple of divisions into Division 3 of Steel Division League, and you drop down into kind of average player territory, you know, Division 4, Division 5 and everyone else playing, then this tier list is probably not really going to apply to you. Really, skill overruns what kind of division you play in. The more highly skilled you are at the game, it doesn't matter what division you play. Like, Gonzo could play against me. He could play any division in that tier list. I could play the very top ones, you know, S tier, and it wouldn't matter. Gonzo would beat me because, the you know, skill really does overrun what division you're playing. It's only till you get into a kind of fair level match, the kind of matches that happen in Steel Division League, where you've got people of similar skills in the same division playing against each other, that kind of division picks and decks and things like that come into it. If you're just going into a random quick play match, if I go into a random quick play match and play Gonzo, it doesn't really matter what division I'm going to play. I'm going to lose because he is a much better player, a much more skilled player than I am. So just be careful with this tier list. I'm not saying that you have to go out and play the 6th Airborne, the 1st French, the 3rd Fallschirmjäger to win in Steel Division 2. That's definitely not what this tier list is about. It's to give you a flavour of what the top Division 1 players see as the best divisions out there at the moment. Thanks very much for your time. Hopefully I kept this kind of short. I am streaming Steel Division 2 casts. Twitch.tv alphabird_ is my Twitch handle. Come and join me on Twitch. I'm streaming Steel Division 2 at the moment on Sundays and Mondays. I'm casting live games from Steel Division League Monday nights, 6 p.m. UK time. So come along and join me, and subscribe if you're not subscribed.